In every cycle, there are projects that become easy targets for quick criticism. The internet computer is one of them. It has faced every type of claim, from being called a dying project to being labeled centralized or artificially inflated. These arguments circulate so frequently that people often repeat them without verifying a single number. The problem isn't disagreement, it's the lack of data. This video breaks down the most common bear arguments surrounding ICP and puts them under a microscope. Not with opinion, not with emotion. With verifiable metrics, publicly available dashboards, and on-chain facts. The goal is simple: provide clarity, not hype, not speculation, just data that reveals where ICP actually stands today. This video is created for educational and informational purposes only. It does not promote or endorse any financial product, investment, or cryptocurrency. All information presented here is based on publicly available sources and independent analysis. Viewers are encouraged to conduct their own research before making any financial or technological decisions. Before diving in, it's important to acknowledge one thing. Every project has strengths, weaknesses, and room to improve. But when a narrative becomes lopsided because loud voices repeat outdated or inaccurate claims, it creates a distorted picture. What we're doing here is balancing that picture with real information. Let's start where most FUD begins: the dead project narrative. Beyond the FUD, unpacking ICP's real metrics. One of the most common statements floating around is that ICP is dead, that it's irrelevant, abandoned, or no longer innovating. The claim spreads easily because it sounds simple and dramatic, but the actual metrics tell a completely different story. Start with developer activity. The internet computer consistently ranks among the top chains in weekly commits, open source contributions, and active development branches. This isn't speculation. It's visible directly on public GitHub repositories and blockchain analytics platforms that track developer hours. Then look at daily transactions, canister upgrades, data storage growth, and smart contract deployments. None of these indicators resemble a stagnant chain. They point to a network where development continues aggressively, regardless of sentiment. Another common argument is centralization. Critics often claim that the internet computer is controlled by a single entity or that its nodes lack distribution. Once again, the data contradicts this. Node operators span multiple continents, independent data centers, and a growing number of external organizations. The network nervous system, or NNS, governs the chain through decentralized voting. And unlike many Layer 1 platforms, ICP governance does not operate behind closed doors or through pseudo-centralized foundations. Every proposal is public, every vote is recorded, every change is visible. Right away, even without the deeper sections coming next, it's obvious that the bear narrative doesn't align with reality. And this lays the foundation for the full breakdown ahead. Now let's deal with the argument that dominates crypto discussions, the so-called token dump. The token dump myth, supply and demand reality. This argument usually shows up in a single sentence format. ICP keeps dumping tokens. It's simple, dramatic, and incomplete. To properly analyze supply dynamics, the conversation has to start with clear numbers: circulating supply, total supply, emission schedules, and locked tokens. ICP's supply mechanism is transparent and publicly accessible. Anyone can verify it by checking the network nervous system dashboard, circulating versus total supply. A significant portion of ICP remains locked inside long-term neurons. These neurons are staked for years, often 8 years, earning voting rewards in exchange for governance participation. The number of tokens locked in these neurons is not small. It represents a meaningful portion of total supply, which directly impacts circulating availability. When critics talk about dumping, they frequently ignore that these locked tokens cannot be sold. They cannot move. They cannot hit exchanges. They remain locked under the user's own control. NNS staking commitment. Look at the actual metrics. Millions of ICP remain locked for multi-year durations. This indicates long-term commitment, not exit behavior. Chains with weak ecosystems do not show long-term staking at this scale. Participants stake for extended periods because they believe the chain's value will grow over time. Distribution events and market impact. Yes, there are scheduled unlocks tied to early contributors, foundation operations, and developer grants. But the important detail is how these unlocks actually impact the market. When analyzing past distribution events, the market response has been far more stable than critics suggest. This is because unlocks are spread gradually, not delivered in sudden waves. Most tokens are allocated for development, community programs, or long-term contributors, not for rapid liquidation. Comparing these unlock schedules to other Layer 1 chains also provides context. Many prominent Layer 1s have similar or even more aggressive unlock structures. Yet only ICP is frequently singled out, usually because outdated narratives continue to circulate without updated data. The numbers show a controlled supply environment supported by long-term staking and distributed release schedules. This is the opposite of uncontrolled dumping. Now, let's shift to the argument that ICP is centralized, one of the most commonly repeated claims. Decentralization under the microscope, nodes, governance, and open source. Decentralization is one of the most misunderstood topics in crypto. People often equate decentralization with one metric, the number of nodes. But real decentralization is multidimensional. It includes governance, decision-making structures, code transparency, and open contributions. Node distribution. ICP's nodes operate across multiple independent data centers located in different countries. These nodes are run by external providers, not a single organization. The number of node providers has increased over time, not decreased, and each provider must meet strict standards for performance and reliability to keep the network stable. Unlike chains that allow anyone to run a low-spec node at home, ICP nodes are designed for a high-performance environment. This leads to a misunderstanding. Fewer nodes does not automatically mean centralization. Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche have similar tiers of specialized nodes, but the criticism focuses disproportionately on ICP. The key measure is independence, and ICP's nodes are becoming more independent as new providers join across different regions. Governance structure. The network nervous system is one of the most transparent governance systems in the industry. All proposals are visible publicly. Anyone with staked ICP can vote. Voting rewards incentivize participation, creating alignment between the network's health and user involvement. This system stands in contrast to chains where key decisions happen internally within foundations or working groups that lack public visibility. ICP's governance, by comparison, operates directly on-chain. Open source development. ICP's core codebase is openly available. Contributions come from multiple independent teams. GitHub activity shows consistent commits, updates, issue tracking, and new feature implementations. If a project were centralized or dying, this activity would not exist at the scale observed. Critics often repeat statements from 2021 or 2022, unaware that the ecosystem has expanded significantly since then. The data shows decentralization improving, not stagnating. With governance, node distribution, and open source all pointing toward a decentralized structure, the centralization argument falls apart under examination. Next, let's focus on what most people overlook entirely: developer activity and ecosystem growth. Developer activity and ecosystem growth. A thriving reality. This is where the dead project narrative collapses completely. Developer activity, ICP ranks consistently among the most active blockchain ecosystems in weekly commits. The volume of code updates reflects a network in continuous evolution. Smart contract upgrades, canister deployments, and performance improvements all point toward a thriving developer culture. When comparing ICP's development metrics to other Layer 1s, the differences become clear. Some chains with higher market caps have far lower development activity, yet they escape criticism because their narratives are more polished. Active dApps and integrations. The Internet Computer hosts an expanding ecosystem of decentralized social platforms, real-time applications, AI models running directly on-chain, decentralized storage systems, gaming projects, and full-stack Web3 tools. Notable projects demonstrate real users, real interactions, and real workloads. These are not placeholder dApps built for marketing. They are running live logic on-chain, taking advantage of ICP's unique ability to handle both compute and storage within the protocol. Ecosystem fund and grants. The growth of ecosystem funds and grants provides institutional support for long-term builders. The number of funded projects has increased year over year, illustrating confidence in ICP's future. Ecosystem funds typically follow real data, not sentiment. They invest where developer traction and user demand are strong. Looking at these three metrics together, developer activity, DApp growth, and grant expansion, it becomes impossible to argue that ICP is dead. All indicators show forward momentum. Now let's wrap all of this into a clear conclusion. The future is data-driven. Why ICP's fundamentals matter. After examining the actual numbers behind the claims, the picture becomes clear. Many common bear arguments surrounding ICP rely on outdated information, incomplete data, or misunderstandings of how the internet computer works. Supply concerns are exaggerated and ignore long-term staking and controlled unlocks. Decentralization claims overlook node distribution, open governance, and open-source transparency. Developer activity debunks the notion of a dead project. The ecosystem continues to expand with real dApps and real users. ICP's unique architecture gives it technical advantages that other chains cannot replicate easily. All of these metrics demonstrate strength, not weakness. The future of blockchain is not determined by narratives alone. It's shaped by real development, real adoption, and verifiable data. And when data is the standard, ICP stands out as one of the most innovative and well-structured layer ones in the space. The message here is not to blindly support any project. It's to encourage data-driven evaluation. Look at the metrics, study the dashboards, examine the code. The stronger the foundation, the more clearly the future becomes. All right, if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell icon so you don't miss future updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.